beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. An area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. On the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. From Middle America. From Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
1773, on 30 January 1774, James Cook reaches 71 degrees 10 minutes south, farthest south, coming within 75 miles of the Antarctic mainland without seeing it. Okay. Later reports said that during 3 voyages lasting 3 years and 8 days, Captain Cook and crew sailed a total of 60,000 miles along the Antarctic coastline, never once finding an inlet or path through or beyond the massive glacial wall. So the other question is, well, how come ships don't go off the sea if it's flat? How come ships don't fall off the edge? Well, here's why you don't fall off the edge. There's a 200 to 300 foot high wall that is the coastline of Antarctica. It's the border that Scripture says is keeping everything in. Nothing's going past that. But yet the Earth is 25,000 miles in circumference, allegedly. It took him 60,000 miles to circumnavigate Antarctica. This guy Shackleton goes down there on the, and I think I put this in my original blog. He goes down there on the name of the ship is the Nimrod. He goes down there on the Nimrod, and it's called the Nimrod Expedition. I'm like, seriously? Okay, Nimrod's goal was to reach into heaven, right? Yeah, the Nimrod Expedition. So you can click on the link I got there and read all about the Nimrod Expedition, British Antarctic Expedition, otherwise known as the Nimrod Expedition. And it was on the name of the ship was the Nimrod right here. Okay. Nimrod was trying to reach into heaven by going up. Could it be that these guys are trying to go out, try to find the ground floor? I don't know, but I mean, why do you, and this is what really got me, is they did so in 1908. 1908. I'm like, really? 1908? Seriously? 1908 is when Nimrod was born, according to my other, let me see, what I put in here. This is one of my other blogs. Yeah. Okay. The 350 post-flood years of Noah's life. This is a chart I did last year, and the follow-up chart, the Nimrod-Abraham timeline. Nimrod was born in 1908 AM, or years since creation. And then 1908, see, 1907 to 1909, well, that's 1908. Nimrod went to Antarctica. I'm like, I mean, you can't write this stuff. I mean, wow. Okay, so they go down there. A whole bunch of people are, you know, from that point on, once they start finding ways to get through the ice to get there, more and more expeditions and better ships are built and used to get there. Then you get to Admiral Byrd. Now, Admiral Byrd goes down there several times, and one of the operations is called Operation HighJump. And you're like,
oh, geez.
Yeah, right. Operation HighJump. Operation HighJump, really? Operation HighJump. I mean, you know, because they went out there with aircraft carriers and airplanes and stuff, you know, some real heavy equipment and stuff like that. Operation HighJump. So then he gets on TV, national TV, and he does this radio show where he talks about all of the natural resources down there. I mean, coal and uranium and stuff that fuel the world forever. It's wonderful. And you can go on YouTube and look up the Admiral Byrd news interview. I think it was on CBS. And it's wonderful. And all these nations are going down there, you know, Russia and Japan, all these nations are going down there. Check it out. Well, then he goes down after that interview. They go down on the next mission, which I believe was called Operation Deep Freeze. And then all of a sudden, everything changes. Everybody pulls out. They leave Antarctica. And all the nations that were down there doing whatever they were doing signed a treaty, the Antarctic Treaty. And I believe it was 1958 or somewhere thereabouts, saying, nope, nobody can stake a claim to Antarctica, and if you're going to go down there, you can only go down there for scientific reasons under carefully restricted guidance, but it's not a free-for-all. Nobody can just, you know, hey, I'm going to go check out Antarctica and do a high jump on my own. No, can't do it. So
Wow.
when I look at the nations that signed the Antarctic Treaty, and I look at the nations that are putting forward quote unquote space videos of the Earth, they're the same people. So if I was to put on my tinfoil hat and play the conspiratorial role here, there definitely appears to be some very suspicious things that took place. And then all of a sudden NASA is formed, and then simultaneously you have Russia and the United States doing high altitude nuclear bomb testing. They're blowing up nuclear bombs high up in the atmosphere, and they called it Operation Fishbowl. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, man. I mean, they're calling it Operation Fishbowl. Okay? So, I mean, if they're trying to keep us from having conspiracy mindsets, they're really not helping out much with the names. They're, the Nimrod mission goes down there, Operation HighJump, and oh yeah, we're going to all leave there because apparently we found something, and now we're going to start blowing things up high up in the atmosphere. And if you go on YouTube and do a search for Operation Fishbowl high altitude nuclear testing and watch the explosions that took place and how they look, I gotta tell you, man, it looks like they hit a dome, and they were. It's almost as if they found the end of the Truman Show in Antarctica, and then they said, "Wonder how high this thing is," and started blowing off bombs. And then you're going to tell me that we went from Sputnik in 1958 to men standing on the moon in 1969. You're telling me in 11 years we went from ideas scribbled on napkins to putting men on the moon with technology less sophisticated than my iPhone.
It's a long fly ball going back, and the ball shatters the sky, bringing the ocean itself down into the stadium.
I know we have still not shattered its glass ceiling, but someday someone will, and hopefully sooner than we might think right now.
Okay, 1773, on 30 January 1774, James Cook reaches 71 degrees 10 minutes south, farthest south, coming within 75 miles of the Antarctic mainland without seeing it. Okay. Later reports said that during 3 voyages lasting 3 years and 8 days, Captain Cook and crew sailed a total of 60,000 miles along the Antarctic coastline, never once finding an inlet or path through or beyond the massive glacial wall.
It's sort of difficult to see what's going on here, but what I'm trying to show here is sort of what's going on with the circumference of the Earth is about 25,000 miles, which is what we have here. This is represented as being 25,000 miles. The radius times 2 times pi equals the circumference. So we're talking about a proportion of the radius. So 25,000 miles circumference here. This one represents a 60,000 mile circumference. The circumference of the Earth is about 25,000 miles, which is what we have here. This is represented as being 25,000 miles. The radius times 2 times pi equals the circumference. So we're talking about a proportion of the radius. So 25,000 mile circumference here. This one represents a 60,000 mile circumference.
During 3 voyages lasting 3 years and 8 days, Captain Cook and crew sailed a total of 60,000 miles along the Antarctic coastline, never once finding an inlet or path through or beyond the massive glacial wall.
And this is based off just proportions, okay? We're talking a radius of 9,549 miles. Clearly a lot more than 3,956, right? So at any rate, my point is that we're talking, more than double the size.
Okay, so here's the picture of the Earth from space. There it is. Since you were a kid, you've seen this image. But you've never seen it from that point of view. You know what? We adopted this whole model like 400 or 500 years before the airplane. 400 years before the airplane, pretty much. Like beginning in the 1900s. They went to the North Pole in the 1900s. This is 1482. Nobody went to the top of the globe, to the bottom, or flew up, or built a skyscraper until, it's funny, back in the 60s when they went to the moon, this is the first time we actually had like an instrument of flight to actually go high enough to actually fucking check out if what we agreed to 500 years ago was real. To actually fucking check out if what we agreed to 500 years ago was real.
This is literally NASA's latest photos. They somehow, after 40 years of not taking any photos of the Earth from space with their, what was it, 10 to 13,000 satellites out there, they finally decided to take a photo of Earth. 40 years after the fact, after all the Apollo missions, they finally said, wow, we finally are able to clear out of space and we could just take a photo. Finally! 40 years after the fact, you know, because it's so hard to take a photo when you got 13,000 satellites out in space. And this is what they gave us. Now, is it just me, or do they think we're stupid? Because that is the fakest thing I've ever seen in my life.